Welcome you today to the seminar, and I'm with stc.unm. We also introduced the director of our innovation academy, Rob Del Campo. So this particular program is sponsored by the Rainforest University Center, which is an EDA grant that we have to take a lot of our entrepreneurial training to the branch campuses. And Rob and I are the co-PIs on that grant, and Caroline Wisdom is the project manager for the grant. And so we've been helping the branches supplement their own training on e-commerce for their students and community members for the last about 6 months or so. So we will be recording this seminar, and it is being streamed to the branches as well. So there may be some questions. Cecilia will manage that process. Today our speaker is Kyle Guin. Kyle is kind of our superstar for student entrepreneurs here at UNM. He was the very first Innovation Academy student and has successfully started several businesses while being a student. He just graduated in June and he'll tell us about the things he's doing now. So thank you, Kyle.
Good afternoon, everybody. At least quiet. Lighten up. I know it's Monday, but we're feeling good. So today I'm going to be talking about sustainable e-commerce business for students. And I like to throw that word sustainable in there because in the past, with some of like the e-commerce ventures, you know, it seems like it's a quick way to kind of get something going on the internet and then kind of running it for, you know, a couple months and then it losing traction and then starting to die. And so, you know, kind of what I like to do with my e-commerce businesses is just make sure that they're sustainable and they can live and they can continue to live. And so, you know, for those of you that are kind of questioning like, oh, what is e-commerce? Essentially, like to make it the simplest point, it's taking something and then selling it on the internet. And that could be through a website, that could be through something like Etsy, that could be through, it could be even selling stuff on Instagram. You know, I'm sure a lot of you that are in here have different various types of businesses. You could be creating clothing in your garage, you need an e-commerce site to sell them. You could be creating some type of software, you need e-commerce to sell that. So don't, you know, try to have an open mindset through, so when we go throughout this process, because I'm going to be talking about mostly just kind of with physical products that you're selling on the internet. So, but just try to connect it to whatever you're trying to sell in your business. All right, well, here's our first. Yeah, okay. Go to the next slide. There we go. So a little bit about my experience. So Shutterbombs was my first e-commerce venture. And essentially what we were selling there were colored smoke bombs. And people would light these smoke bombs off in their photos, at their weddings, at their during music festivals and stuff. And it just made for really cool photos. We've worked with artists like Drake and Travis Scott, who, for those of you who don't know, they're like really big rap artists right now. So we've used them in their music videos. I think like a video with our smoke bombs it's been viewed like 40 million times on YouTube or something like that. And then so so that company I started way back in October of 2017. We didn't sell our first smoke bomb until February of 2018. Since then, the company has grown a ton. I think we just shipped out our 5,000th order. We all the way. So yeah, we're 5,000 orders. In total, I think gross revenues we're nearing $250,000. So yeah, it's definitely grown like a weed. And so my second e-commerce venture was this terrible little smiley face logo. I don't know, like people actually ended up liking it, but with that one we were selling reusable straws, and it's kind of like a hit thing. But one of the lessons I learned in this, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on why it's important to do an IP search, we were recently shut down due to patent infringement. But that's okay, we're making a strong comeback. And then so the logo way over there on the left is e-commerce entity. That's kind of my new company. So now that I have like a couple of these e-commerce brands all operating, I decided to start a holding company to kind of oversee all the operations on that. And then that way, I'm also we're out raising a little bit of money to help scale our operations. So e-commerce entity is just kind of a generic holding company for all of our brands. So I kind of want to jump into kind of the phase, like I broke this up into different phases and then different steps within those phases. So for those of you that already have a product, this part might not pertain to you as much as others. But pretty much the first step is finding out what you want to sell, and then also retail testing that before you source the product. So the way I like to do this is I go on Amazon. I see what people are buying on there, what's trending, what's popping up on the first page, and then also what's trending on Instagram. There's some pages that are all about products and design. Product Hunt is one of my favorite pages. You'll find some really cool products on there that people are like kind of selling on their own. And then what are current social issues? This one's really interesting because this is what we did with straw pods. I'm not sure if a lot of you are familiar, but there's this huge ordeal, especially happening in the world of millennials, that the ocean is being overtaken by plastic. And, plastic straws we're all going away from plastic straws, and people are using metal, bamboo, whatever straws to help, build a more sustainable ecosystem for the ocean. To kind of look, we like to look into those issues, like what issues can we kind of attach a social injustice to? That way, we have a little bit more of a selling point. So, you want to be like strategic for it. You can't just go and pick a random product off of Amazon, or, if you already have your product, you can go that route. But, try to pick something that's close to you, something you're a little bit passionate about, something that has a good selling point, something that you can kind of tell a story about. And then so also one of the things I like to look about is what's a product that is being sold and is being sold a lot, but it doesn't have like a cute Instagram brand attached to it. So I'm sure, if you're not, familiar with like Instagram, but us millennials, we love to buy things off of Instagram, and we love like what our influencers are feeding us. We love to like consume those type of products. Us as millennials, we're killing big box name brands. That's because we like to go to these like smaller little boutique, and it could be anything. Like I've seen, it's like the straw. We took this random thing that doesn't necessarily need a brand or doesn't need content or doesn't need a story around it, and we attached this like really cool. I mean, in the beginning of it, excuse my French, but we called it "fuck plastic," and we got like a ton of traction with that name because it was something like we could connect to, and people were angry about the situation. So we had that psychological connection to them with the product, and people really liked to get behind that type of movement. And then most importantly, whenever you're looking at all of these things that you could potentially sell, do some due diligence on the intellectual property. Because something as simple as a foldable straw could have a patent on it, and that could stop your freedom of operation. And the great thing is that we are in the lower rainforest, where conveniently STC is located, and they are all about intellectual property and all of that. So if you ever have any intellectual properties, you should reach out to STC, because they will give you the information or point you in the right direction where you can get that information. Because you don't want to get into a company where you're finally starting to make sales, and then as soon as you start to get traction, the IP owner slaps you with that cease and desist and tells you, yeah, you're done. No more selling that stuff. So step 2 is kind of like it's kind of something that I recently thought of, and it's kind of worked for us. So, let's say you finally find your product, and you're kind of like curious, you want to sell, and like, has anybody ever heard the term drop shipping before? Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not a huge fan of drop shipping. Number one, because most of the time when you drop ship something, so for those of you that don't know, drop shipping is the idea that you can sell something on your website but never actually touch the physical inventory. So let's say I find a reusable straw in China that will cost me $4 to the door of the customer, and on my website I can upsell that for $10. So I sell it for 10. I pay the manufacturer in China $4 for the straw and for the shipping to their door. I never have to take on any risk because I didn't have to buy any physical inventory. And then they handle like the packaging fulfillment. Now the problem with that is shipping something from China, number one, often super sketchy, like comes DHL or like AliExpress shipping, and the shipping number takes you to this sketchy website that's like not even HTML locked, and like you're worried about getting a virus, and it takes like 3 weeks to get a straw that's this big. So that's going to destroy you having a chance of getting a reusable customer. Like that customer experience is awful. And like learn from my mistakes. Like I did this. I shipped out over 2,000 of those straws like that, and it was the biggest catastrophe I've ever taken on. My inbox to this day is still getting like pissed off customer emails like coming to me like, where's my straw? So I would kind of like to like stay away from that model. If you can find a really reliable shipper in the United States, go for it. Like if they can get a USPS label and like ship that, like you have that quality control, then go for it. It's like a great way to test a business concept without actually having to assume any risk. So what I like to do is I like to do retail test and before products. So what retail testing is essentially most likely what you want to sell, somebody else is probably already selling it. Whether it's on Amazon, whether it's on Etsy, whatever it is. But, you know, spin up a brand. Should we go to that one? So we'll dive into that in a second. But buy the products like locally, like sell them without making a profit essentially. Buy like buy 5 of them, you know, buy 5 of the products, and that way you can get it, you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can take pictures of it, and then post them up on your website and see if you're actually capable of moving the products. And if you are, that's whenever you need to start to like spin up your brand. So this is whenever you really need to start like looking at the types of resources to help you do this. Because the process that I'm teaching you today is not complex. I mean, it's taking something, selling it on the internet for a profit. It's not a complex process, but the skills to make this process happen successfully is difficult. And there's resources that can make that easier for you. So no, the first one that you need to know about is Shopify. Shopify is a web platform that helps you build your website, but also it has a CMS built in, a customer management system. So essentially you can see all of your customers, you can see their emails, you can see their addresses, you can see where their traffic came from, whether they came from Google, whether they came from Instagram. On top of that, it has great order management. So you can see all of your orders, you can buy labels for them, you can cancel them. It's just overall a really good backend. If I had access to a computer, I would show you backend, but we won't break the presentation. If we have some time at the end, I'll take you into the back of a Shopify store and you can see. So next is the Adobe Creative Cloud, which I am so jealous because I graduated in the spring and now Adobe Creative Cloud is free. The Adobe Creative Cloud is probably the most powerful piece of software, and the fact that UNM allows you to get that for free is insane. Like this software package costs $350 a month for non-students. And within this software package, you can do everything from create fully animated videos to doing video editing. It comes with Photoshop, you know, we all know what that is. And it comes with Illustrator, so you're able to build out logos. So the Creative Cloud is so powerful, and the fact that you have it for free, you need to take advantage of that because it's really going to make the difference. You know, the thing I like to connect to the Adobe Creative Cloud to is in the past, anytime I've started one of these companies, in the beginning of it, it's a wreck. We never knew what we were doing, but on the front end, we had all these great looking graphics, these great looking websites, and these great looking, you know, if we sent out an email, we had, you know, a nice template to it. If we printed out documents, we had a nice template on it. Like we looked so legit, and for that reason, people trusted us, even though in the back end, we'd like get an order and we're like, crap, we like need a box to pack this up to sell. But we like made ourselves look really legit, so people actually trusted us. So the next is Pixels, stock photos, and also Unsplash. So let's say your brand is selling the reusable straws, right? And you get an Instagram. We live in New Mexico. You're nowhere near the ocean to go and take pictures of the ocean and all of this. But the beautiful thing is that there's photographers that have already done this. You can go on to Pixels and Unsplash and get stock photos of whatever you need. You can, you know, if you go look at the Straw Pod's Instagram, every single photo and video came from some type of stock photo class that or stock photo website, and we never had to pay for that content ever. It's high quality, you get great images, you get great videos, and it's like the difference between your brand looking legitimate and not looking legitimate. On your website, you can have really nice photos, and then on your Instagram, you can have great content. And then so the final thing that's important is GoDaddy, because you definitely want to have a custom domain name. You know, you don't want to have mystore.shopify.yourname.com. You don't want to do that. Just, you know, go get a domain, like $11 a year. Somebody's joining in. So this is kind of phase 2. Phase 2 is the website build. And like we were talking about, we're CMS, product management, interactive web builder, analytics, and payment processing. That is your one-stop shop. That is everything that you're getting with Shopify. They do all of that directly integrated with Stripe, which is an amazing payment processor. You're going to get the best. You're going to get the best price per credit card transaction on that. And then also the analytics are amazing. I would highly recommend Shopify. Unless you're looking at doing more of a high-risk product, so I'm not sure if anybody in here is looking to do a CBD type brand. With CBD, I would watch out with using Shopify because they can shut your store down in about any second. Also, Stripe will not process a CBD payment, so you have to get a third-party payment processor for that. But okay, so the first step is setting up the website. Once again, I'll kind of do a quick demonstration. I'll try to run through this presentation quick, and then actually go into a Shopify store for you. So the first part is setting up a free theme. The beautiful thing about Shopify is it's such an interactive web builder that any of you should be able to go to that website right now and figure it out. It's that simple. And there's also a ton of great resources on Shopify. If there's something that you cannot figure out, just look up a YouTube tutorial, and there's going to be 15 videos teaching you exactly how to do it step for step. So they have a great store, theme store, and they have most of them are free. Once you get more advanced, you can purchase Shopify themes that allow you to do different things. But in these beginning stages, these free themes work completely well for you. Now, the second step to that is populating your stock photos. So let's say you're building your store about the reusable straws. Go to Unsplash or go to Pixels, which we talked about in the last slide. Find some stock photos of the ocean. Put them up on your website. You know, give it a nice background, give it a nice look. Change the colors so everything matches together. And then you add the branding. So this is where the Adobe Creative Suite comes in. The Adobe Creative Suite, that's where you're making logos, you're making graphics for your website. And once again, that's a little bit of a learning curve. Using Adobe Illustrator is not easy, but once again, there's a bunch of YouTube videos. Look them up, follow the tutorials, word for word, and you're going to be just fine. Like, this stuff isn't rocket science. It's like, I was able to figure it out, so all of you are able to figure it out. And then, so the fourth is populate products when product photos. So pretty much, you know, if you followed earlier in the presentation and you actually bought what you wanted to sell, take some photos of it, take some pictures of you using it, take some pictures of your friends using it, and list them on the website. And, you know, Shopify does a super good job of that. So, you know, you can manage your inventory and everything from that same back end. And then the last thing is add a domain. And I put paid plan there because up until this point, you pretty much haven't had to spend any money to get here. Shopify is free for 14 days. All of your stock photos have been free. The Adobe Creative Cloud has been free. The only way that you've spent money is if you actually bought one of your products. So step 2 is the marketing infrastructure. And this is incredibly important. This is probably like the most important step. I would say. So you need to set up Google AdWords, Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and then influencers. Depending on your product, like some products don't need Twitter. Like if you're some type of weird software product, chances are nobody's going to follow you on Twitter. But with the straw company, we created a Twitter, and we would just post goofy little things about people who like the type of people that use plastic straws. And people love that. And like they were retweeting and they were sharing it. So this first step is kind of optional, and this is kind of something that we just did for the first time, but it was really, I would say, worth it. So buying an Instagram account. So essentially, there's a website called Social Tradia where somebody who's built up an Instagram account, if they no longer want to manage that or whatever, they'll go and list it for sale on this website. And you can get websites you can get Instagrams with 10,000 followers up to millions of followers. And you can spend from $250 all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars on these accounts. But I would if you have the money laying around and you want to do that, buy an Instagram with 10,000 followers. So that's a huge thing, because not having that type of statue on Instagram makes you more legit. And not only that, it allows you to do a couple more features that you're not able to do on Instagram without having that type of following. You can do what's called a swipe up story. So, if you post something on Instagram, instead of people having to like go click on a link on your profile, they can swipe up and just go straight to your website. So there's a little bit of like beneficial in like the user experience, but also it's kind of like a badge. It's like a stamp of, oh, this company is like legit. They have 10,000 followers. So set up the social accounts and start posting. And this is kind of going back to Unsplash and Pexels. Like, just go and find photos, create a posting calendar, line up a week's worth of content. Like, it's easy. Every photo on that website's high quality and it's free to use. Credit the photographers, though. That's always nice. I just noticed we skipped step 2. But step number 3, because forget step number 2, is redeem the $100 Shopify Google AdWords credit. So every Shopify store, they do like a partnership with Google AdWords, and they give you $100 and start to run some Google AdWords. So, let's say, back to the straw example, we're selling reusable straws. Set up a Google AdWords, and you can say, okay, anytime somebody searches reusable straws or hashtag save the turtles, make me the first website hit. And you get spend $10 a day. You get $10 you get 10 days worth of free advertising on Google. And that's like a good way to test your business. Like, are people coming to the website? Are people spending money? And hopefully by that point, if you're putting money into ads, that you're selling some stuff. Now, the last step is push virality. So this is kind of an interesting one, and this is we've kind of with Shutterbombs we don't do a ton of influencer marketing. We've tried it a couple times, but with the reusable straw, since we had that social issue attached to it, this was a very viral product, and we were able to push that virality by going on Twitter and instead of doing like a paid ad, so people see that they see ads, they're automatically kind of turned off by something. So we spent, I think, like $150 paying one Twitter influencer to retweet one of our tweets. And no, our Twitter account had like 0 followers. Like, we would tweet stuff, nobody would see it. But this one tweet, I was like, okay, paid this guy $150. He hit the retweet button. And that one tweet had 1.3 million views and drove over $15,000 in sales in a matter of 3 days. So if you have a product that has that type of capable of going viral, don't be afraid to like kind of step away and step out of like that comfort zone for advertising and like just putting money behind a post. Like, find some of these influencers who are relevant in your space and go through and actually pay them some money, negotiate with these people. Like, they're usually just college kids running a Twitter account and are down to post something for like $140. So at this point, does your product sell? And like, this is the hard, like, if you've done all of this, you've gotten to this point, you've got a good looking website, you've got some paid ads running, is your product selling? And if not, well, back to the drawing board. But if it is, let's start with the product sourcing. So at this point, you're done buying them off of Amazon to sell them for break even, and you're like, all right, this is working. I'm down to invest in some physical inventory. So there's two different major suppliers for this type of thing. So you have AliExpress, which is like affiliated with Alibaba. But with AliExpress, you're looking at small minimum order quantities. So you could order like the straws. We started out with 1,000 of them, and it cost us $2,500. But all we got was like a generic packaging. It was a white label, pretty much like it didn't have any brand on it. We could have put a sticker on it if we wanted to. But it was good because we didn't have to spend that much money. They have a great way of like talking with the sellers on there. You can process your payments through there, because working with China is like, it can be a little bit scary. I mean, we recently just had an incident where we bought camera straps like way back in March, and like we worked with the manufacturer and we were like super worried that they weren't actually going to send it to us, but like they finally did like last week. So it's kind of like a scary process working, because it's like these people are all the way across country, like or across the world, like you have no idea. But AliExpress kind of gives you like a peace of mind because they have a good they have a good way of interacting with the seller and with the customer, and they have buyer protection. But yeah, so AliExpress is for small minimum order quantities. You're very limited to custom packaging with AliExpress. So if you're wanting to put your logo on the box, on the product, chances are on AliExpress, you're not going to be able to do that. And you have a little bit of less quality control because it's like usually these people created all of these products and they just hold them in inventory. You place an order and they ship it. But Alibaba is a little bit different. So let's say you're willing to put some money into some inventory. The problem with Alibaba is that if you're going to have mass order quantities, like, you're looking at like a minimum of 10,000 units on there typically. But the benefit is you can get custom packaging, and they're manufacturing these types of products for you, so you have a little bit more quality control. If there's a material, you can say, okay, I spent a little bit more on this material, so it lasts a little bit better. And then also don't be afraid to look for US suppliers too. Like, I would highly recommend that over working over in China, because it's a lot simpler. So Shutterbombs, our distributor is here in America. Like, they're based out of Nevada, and it makes it so easy. We're on the same time zones. I can text the guy, he can get his product within like 2 days. If that's the route you want, if that's the route you're able to go, I would recommend it. And then so step number 2 is like figuring out logistics. So, I mean, the problem with, the great thing about drop shipping is if the logistics are completely handled for you, but like I said, you're going to lose all of that quality control. So this is something you're going to have to deal with if you're doing physical inventories. Like, how do you ship? So sourcing custom boxes or just brown boxes, it's not a hard process. Like, if you want a custom box, just Google custom box manufacturing. The guy who's on top is going to be your best bet. If you just want to ship in generic brown boxes, go right down the street to Aztec Quality Supply. They're like 2 blocks down. We've bought boxes from them our whole life of all of our stores, and they're amazing. So the next thing is get a label maker. It'll make your life so much easier. For like the first 6 months of shipping orders for Shutterbombs, I didn't have a label maker, and I was printing them out on normal paper, cutting them out, and then just taping them to the box. It was not worth it. It made the process way more complex than it needed to be. Get a label maker and shipping labels. And I said buy from Amazon, but we recently discovered that UPS will give them to you for free if you ship through them. And then Shopify order fulfillment and label discounts. So Shopify has such an amazing order fulfillment method, and then also you get huge discounts on labels through them. So pretty much you can choose who you're you can choose for each product. So like with Shutterbombs, we're shipping smoke bombs, so we cannot ship through USPS, God forbid. But you have to ship through UPS. So we can choose on each product, like you can only choose this shipping, and then it'll automatically buy those labels for you whenever you go to fulfill the products. And then it prints them right out for you, you slap them on the box, and you're all good. So these are just some words of advice. Number 1 is set up like a legitimate business entity. If you start, the second that you start to make money, this is when this becomes important. It gives you a level of corporate protection. If you have an LLC set up and your reusable straw accidentally gets stuck in somebody's eye, at least they're going to go after your LLC instead of you. So you get that level of corporate protection, but also it's just if you're planning on doing this and you're planning on, keeping these types of stores up and running, it's going to make your life so much easier setting up the proper infrastructure right whenever this stuff starts to go, because we didn't do that, and it's been a wreck. It has been such a mess for us. Susan, one of my mentors from a couple years ago, is back there giving me the thumbs up, because I used to not do any of this stuff. I just kind of went, and then it all blew up in my face this year. So that's I can't stress that enough. And the next one, the second biggest one, is the second you start to make money, Shopify has a QuickBooks plugin. You download that plugin and you set it up. I'm telling you, it'll make your life so much easier, because I don't care if you're a college student, they still make you pay taxes. And there's no way to get around that. And our tax return for this year just got filed, or our tax return for 2018 just got filed a week ago, because our taxes were so screwed up and we kept having to file for an extension. It's because I never did any of that. We were going crazy. We were use our company card for whatever we wanted to, and it turned out to be such a wreck. So just set Susan?
Kyle and I are not attorneys, but we can tell you from business experience in setting up companies. Consider where your business is organized, in which state and under what laws. In New Mexico, we are one of 3 states out of 50 states that has a gross receipt
Of 8%.
And it depends upon the county you're living in, but it can be up to 10% of your gross
Yeah,
receipts.
but
And you must file by the 24th of each month. There is no break. They don't care whether you've got cash in your pocket or not. You get to pay it. And if you don't, they fine you.
Yeah.
So do listen to him about setting up a legitimate business entity.
yeah, and it's such little research to figure this stuff out. Like it is something that's like kind of new and difficult. Even like get some people that know what they're doing to help you out. But yeah, there's like these 2 steps are really important. Like if you're starting to make money, then like you need to set this kind of stuff up. Third biggest piece of advice is research IP and make sure you have the freedom to operate / comply with shipping laws. So these are 2 where I have gotten smacked in the face pretty hard. So the research IP was on the reusable straws. We had to, we had sold about half of our inventory. We get a cease and desist from this company saying like, hey, if you don't shut this down, like we're gonna sue you for patent infringement. Here's our patent. It's like, figure it out. Like to comply, like we need you to package all of your inventory up, send it to us so we can destroy it, shut your website down, and then you have to inform on your seller. So like we pretty much like weren't able to figure out any way. Like, and honestly, I think it was very like debatable if that patent was enforceable. But the fact of the matter was like our inventory value was like maybe like $4,000 at the time. And just a single court filing, like the initial court filing to fight somebody on that is like $5,000. So we were like, all right, fine. And then we went after them on social media for like being a big company, trying to bully them out of like selling product and they don't care about the ocean and that they just wanted to make a profit and like have the monopoly on the market. And we got to keep the website and we found a straw that's not like on their patent. So we're back in business, baby. We're going after them. But it's such like a simple thing, like just do like a little bit of research to see, doing a patent search isn't rocket science. STC does a seminar on that. I'm sure sometime it'll happen sometime this year.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah. So just kind of look that up.
One other thing, Ben.
Yes.
When you go after looking for your website and you're going after domain names, brainstorm with everybody around you some domain names that your friends think they would notice on Instagram or Facebook or anything else. Here's the reason why. You don't want to buy them right away. The minute you start researching, there are people out there with algorithms. See that you started researching?
Yeah. If you
Don't use Google search.
Yeah, use them. And so if you're going to be searching for domains to see if they exist, use it's a browser called DuckDuckGo. And actually, if you can use that browser like in Safari, like just like go to like it's just like Google, just go duckduckgo.com and use that. Like it's completely private. Like yeah, because people do like watch the analytics and see what people are searching. And like there are cases where people like have domain names bought before they can get to it.
It happened to us.
It happened to them. And I'm just pretty sure it's happened to us. And then understanding assumption and reality. This is like really important because like I explained today, like this process isn't complicated. Like it isn't rocket science. But you have your assumptions about it. Like, oh, I'm gonna spin this website up, I'm gonna get this product, I'm gonna sell it. Like yes, that is a simple process, but it takes skills and it takes a little bit of trial and error to actually make happen. Like don't be upset like if you're in your first month selling and it's like not going the way you planned it. Like these things take time, even with going back to like marketing, just because you're putting money into like AdWords and Facebook, like it takes some time for those algorithms to figure themselves out and be pointing the right people to your websites, especially like with Facebook Pixel. Yes.
Yeah, that brings up the question. Is there any way to tell when you're figuring out what you're going to be marketing, what the age group is, for instance, for a certain product? Because maybe only young people would like it or only older people.
Yeah.
Is there a way to know?
Definitely. I mean, there's never any way to for sure know. You can do market research and you have your assumptions, but once again, there's always that reality of it. So what I would recommend doing for that is setting up A/B testing groups. So let's say, you have a $10 a day ad budget for your product. I would put $5 a day towards testing group number 1. And let's say that group is, okay, I'm going to target 18 to 24-year-old male and females in college. But for this next group, I'm going to target 24 to 35-year-old people in the white collar business market and see how it does. And then you compare the two. Which one converted better? Which one drove traffic better? And so that's like the beautiful thing about Shopify is that it allows you, so whenever you're going to set up Google AdWords and Google Analytics, pretty much they'll give you this little code, and Shopify has a really convenient place where you just go paste that code. It's usually a 12-digit long number, and that way you can really track where those people are coming from, who they are, and what they're doing. And same with Facebook. So you want to set up that Facebook pixel, so anytime somebody comes to your website, Facebook starts to learn, okay, so this person who has a profile on Facebook and they are 24 and they're going to college like to go to this website. And so Facebook sees that, and so next time you go to run an ad on Facebook, Facebook's going to say like, hey, you have people visiting your website that are of this demographic, you should target them. So that's kind of like the recommendation. And the hard part is like these things start to learn over time. So you have to drive web traffic. You have to drive a little bit of web traffic before you can start to train these to understand who your customer is. But once you do that, and that's why with Shutterbombs, like we're still experiencing that. Like we're still figuring out who our customer is, but we're almost up to 100,000 website visits. So at this point, our analytics are trained to understand, okay, so our ad bucks need to go towards this group of people. And so it's all about the analytics. And in the beginning, you just need to have a general idea of who your target customer is. And once you have that target customer, target them, and then let Google Analytics and Facebook Analytics do the rest for you. Yes?
What do you think about the Create.Sell.Bank course?
I think it's good. Bill, who teaches that, I mean, he kind of like pointed me in the right direction and let me go after that. I mean, it's kind of where I learned to build Shopify stores. It's where that's where Shutterbombs started, was in that class. Like that was a class project. Like all of this started out as a class project for me, and is now like turned into like I work on my e-commerce businesses, and then I also work for a company out in Los Angeles doing like the store, like the management of these stores being built. Like it all started because of a class project, and it was because of that Create.Sell.Bank class.
What you're going to do is that class, you can take it online. And when you take it, the first thing you're going to do is set up an Instagram account, a Facebook account, a Snapchat account. You're going to set all that up, and you're going to be looking at it going, why am I doing this? And the answer is you want to sell something. Yeah. And then you will go through all the steps of doing that. And it's easy that you can do it remotely. I think you've got face-to-face sessions, group sessions this semester. But it will really show you if you're doing it all like, I'm hesitant to do this, but I put it out there. I'm an elder and I use all of it.
So just kind of closing thoughts. So the assumption versus reality. So like be realistic with yourself. Be, like you're not going to spin this website up and you're not going to make like day number one, $1,000. If you do, please come here and tell me how you did it. But just, realize like it's going to be a slow process. Like this isn't like get rich overnight. Like this, like no business is built overnight. And it's the same with these stores. Would I say it's more rapid with these? Yes. But just, be real with yourself. And then my final and my biggest piece of advice is don't make a simple process difficult, because the stuff, it's not hard. Setting up an Instagram account, not hard. Building this website, not hard. If you get stuck, you don't have an excuse. Go watch a YouTube video. All of it's not hard. Just don't be such a perfectionist. Just try to get to a point where you can sell and start to make money. And then from there, start to grow and start to figure this stuff out more. But just getting all of this logistical stuff done in the beginning to get to a point where you can sell, and then you start, that's like the biggest thing. That process is the most complicated part, because as soon as you start to make money and as you're starting to move some products, then you can really start to, figure this stuff out. Like, oh, if I make this change to the website. But if you never get to that point, you're never going to know. So like I said, this is not a complicated process, but the skills needed to make it happen are a little difficult, but the resources are out there and it's free to you.
So just make sure to take advantage of that.
Okay, so that's the end of my presentation, but I want to like dive into the back of like a Shopify store and just kind of show.
While you're setting that up, I'm going to ask Rob if he wants to make any comments on how these fireworks will be.
Sure. Yeah, I would just say, I mean, thanks for the intro to the ad for the Create.Sell.Bank course. That's an opportunity available.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, the Create.Sell.Bank course.
Create.Sell.
Yeah, and you can get that information to everyone who signed in today. But it's of course available to the community and to the branches as well. That we kind of walk you through the stuff more step by step. I mean, it is a pretty simple process, but
Wait, share entire screen.
that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to build a web presence online to really walk you through the process of doing an e-commerce business over a 16-week period. So if you're a student, you can take it and get credit. If you're in the community, we can get you locked in and you can take it just as a fun one-off. But also the Innovation Academy is here to support students like Kyle in getting things set up in terms of funding and some other opportunities. We're working with STC on the IP side. And there's lots of different programs that we have that we can help you to get set up